Chief Meteorologist Joe Barnes tracking some pretty big storms tonight just to the northwest of West Tennessee. We had a decent cell come through Jackson here about 30 minutes ago. Most of that was south of town. Had a neat little rainbow we were watching on the camera. But hey, at least temperatures have cooled down some due to that shower and storm that came by. Gusty winds going to be the main threat tonight. Can't rule out some hail or an isolated tornado, but the main concern is going to be gusty winds, and the main threat is in that blue area. That's where we're under the level 2 tonight. We got a severe thunderstorm watch for Obion, Dyer, and Lake counties. Could be extended eastward, possibly including Gibson, as well as maybe Weakley County if these storms hold together. Plus, we got that flood watch and the heat advisory, but it is still extremely warm. Look at the places that haven't got hit with these storms yet. Very hot, very humid, lots of storm energy, and that's why you got this. Look at this intense line of storms lining up. We had one earlier, that one that went through Milan and Parsons. There was the one that cooled us down here in Jackson, but these are all of the pop-up variety. These are not. These are the ones up to the north are driven from the cold front. They got a lot more instability, a lot more storm energy. We've pretty much seen our little cell here in Jackson wrap up, so we're good to go in the hub city, probably at least for the next couple of hours. If we get something in Jackson, it's not expected to move through till maybe 10, 11 p.m. at the earliest. But we probably did have a little bit of hail there with that cell south of Neely, and a few showers still left into Beach Bluff as well as Henderson. But this is where the focus is going to be over the next couple of hours. Look at the lightning lining up an extremely intense line of storms. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings already out till 8. Likely going to have some warnings issued downstream, including Lake as well as Obion and Dyer counties. The first up will be this cell, Lake and Obion County. Union City probably going to be put under a severe thunderstorm watch as this storm begins to move a little bit closer, but you notice it's coming to a line. So what this means, likely straight line winds. We don't have a lot of categories or a lot of ingredients for spin ups along the leading edge. There was a little bit of rotation on the backside here with this storm near Cotton Hill, but everything right now just looking like straight line winds that we're seeing showing up on the radar. But there's some pretty intense gusts. I bet you the Hickman's really gusting coming into Tiptonville now, and even on the backside in the middle of this storm, there's some pretty intense winds. So we're going to be watching this line as it comes through. There's a look at our severe thunderstorm watch. Again, does have some of our counties. Extends up. There's even a tornado warning outside, but there is more rotation up into this area, folks, closer to the low pressure system. For us, we're just being pushed southward, that cluster of thunderstorms from the stationary boundary sitting up to the north. So we're going to continue to see these storms come on by overnight tonight, likely going to continue even up into our northern counties. So get used to the rain. That's why we have that flood watch out. It's going to be sticking around here for a while. All right, let's take a closer look at that intense line of storms again that we are watching up to the north. Looks like things are going to be pretty quiet here in Jackson for a little bit. So there's a look at what we're dealing with as far as the severe weather threat. Pretty quiet right now, at least in our area, but it is going to be changing in the next 30 minutes. Kind of put things in motion here. You see that these lines, they are racing our way. And how about just the amount of lightning? Look at that, 2,000 strikes just with that line as it comes on through, as it's knocking on the door there in Tiptonville as it tracks down to the south. We're going to continue, obviously, to track these storms. I think they are going to weaken some as they get a little closer into our viewing area later tonight, but they're definitely going to be intense for at least the next couple of hours. Often after the sun goes down, we do see these storms weakening some as they do push into our area after the sun goes down. But again, remember, we've been dealing with pop-up thunderstorms most of the week. These are totally different. These are driven by the frontal boundary, which means there's a better chance these continue after the sun goes down. The pop-ups usually die when they lose the daytime heating. These ones, I think, are strong enough that they're going to be hanging around a little bit longer. I'm going to check real quick here with the National Weather Service and see if they're giving out any information. They said currently no warnings in effect out of the office in Memphis, but they're monitoring damaging winds through Missouri into northwest Tennessee over the next few hours. That just came out around 4 minutes ago, so we'll see if they extend the warnings into our area or not. We're going to keep a very close eye on things. We're going to have another update here coming up at 8 o'clock when these storms do begin to move into our area. If you want to head out, if you're watching us in Gibson, Madison County, you're good for at least an hour into Gibson, but Gibson County, things can start to get a little hairy around 9 o'clock, maybe not until closer to 10 here in Jackson. So we're going to switch back over. We're going to keep a live radar feed up on our other Macs and then I'll be breaking back in here around 8 o'clock for another update. So we'll see you here at 8. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes here, just with an update on those gusty windstorms that are racing through Wbbj County right now. It's currently quiet here in Jackson. We're going to stay that way at least for another hour. 77 degrees. The National Weather Service did expand the severe thunderstorm watch. We'll show you that here in a minute. And they also kind of expanded the slight risk. So it does include now all areas in West Tennessee north of Madison County with gusty winds still being the main threat. Can't rule out some quarter-size hail, and there is one tornado warning sitting just to the north of us. But there's a look at that watch. Does include Gibson now, as well as Weakley, Henry, Carroll, and Benton counties. This is still out until midnight on that severe thunderstorm watch. It is very hot, very humid, helping to charge up these thunderstorms as they come on through tonight. We'll get back to the big line here in a minute. We did have that cell here around Jackson earlier. It fizzled out. It has tried to reform. We got two little cells, one north of Scotts Hill, one north of Enville. None of that is going to be a problem south of the interstate. But this, a very gusty line of storms extending now from the Boot Hill, does include Lake County. Wbbj County's under this, and these storms are getting awful close to Union City, kind of knocking on the door right now. But look at the lightning strikes, almost 2,000 strikes. This is a very convective system. But looking inside of it, I don't see any 60-mile-an-hour winds right now. That's why there are no severe thunderstorm warnings currently with this. But it is a very loud storm. Torrential rainfall occurring through Ridgely, Hornbeak, Dixie, and again knocking right on the door there of Union City, approaching 51 right now. So we've got a couple of hail cores, maybe one near Mayfield, another one south of Clinton. Did have a tornado warning on this cell earlier, but they have pulled the tornado warning. Still some broad rotation, definitely enough we need to keep an eye on it, but again, it is about 20 miles north of West Tennessee. Got some scattered winds moving up into Union City. None of this, though, currently looks severe, and the winds extending all the way down now to the Mississippi River. But again, the good news with this is I don't see much for any rotation. There's a little bit northwest of Madison Hall trying to bow out here with some gusty winds, but again, the tornado threat very low tonight with this line. The bigger problems are going to be the torrential rainfall with it, as well as some gusty winds. But it's even starting to run out of a little bit of speed. But you do kind of see that bowing structure there. That's where the strongest winds are tonight. So it looks like straight line winds are going to be the biggest concern with these storms as they move on through tonight. And then we've got more expected to come through as we get going into overnight, into Friday morning, and multiple more rounds could be on the way. But let's get back up here to the radar on our big storm that we are watching. Again, a line of storms. I'll check in real quick here with the National Weather Service. The latest out of them is that looks like actually meteorologist Jordan Hubbard is out watching these storms. He passed the down street sign and power line on Tennessee 78, 3.5 miles north of Ridgely. So Jordan's out there tracking these storms on the ground tonight. So we're watching, he's given us some information, but according to the National Weather Service, nothing new since they extended that severe thunderstorm watch downstream. But again, very active line of storms tonight. Right now they appear to be a lot more bark than they are bite, as they're very loud. But as far as the severe weather threat, it currently looks to be on the low side with these storms, which is good considering we had some reports of some 60-mile-an-hour winds earlier associated with these. Again, we'll watch this line as it continues to come on down. It definitely will impact people in Gibson County, Carroll County. If you're watching us in those areas tonight, you're definitely going to get some loud thunderstorms, probably some gusty winds. Again, can't 100% rule out a tornado. I don't think one's going to develop. But there's definitely a lot of storm energy tonight. The rotation's on the minimal side, so that's probably going to save us from again, any tornadoes, but still tons of lightning showing up with these storms tonight. Again, we did have a little bit of rotation earlier up into Kentucky there, but it looks like that's beginning to go down a little bit as well. So some good news there. I'm trying to set some graphics back on our other Macs because we're going to continue obviously to keep an eye on these storms as they come through. We're obviously not going to break into television unless we get a tornado warning or unless one of these storms becomes very intense as it comes by. But again, currently no severe thunderstorm warnings for us here in West Tennessee, which is good news. We'll be keeping a close eye on these as they come by. Likely going to weaken some though as they get closer to our area, which is pretty typical with a line. Once the sun goes down, they weaken some, but that doesn't mean that they're still not going to be pretty intense. As you do see the wind field there as it comes on through. So again, no current severe thunderstorm warnings, but these storms are going to be moving downstream into Weakley, Gibson County, Carroll County, likely Henry County coming up here a little bit later this evening. But kind of zoom things out here, give you the big picture again with what we're dealing with. A cluster of non-severe thunderstorms currently moving through West Tennessee at the current moment. I don't see anything that looks like possible spin-ups currently along the main line, which is moving right now into Union City. Mason Hall, I'm sure the winds are kicking up for you guys. Then northern Gibson County, you probably got about 15 minutes till these storms do come through into your area as well. So again, as far as what I would expect is probably some 40, 50 mile an hour winds with these the line. Even the lightning counter looks like it's coming down just a little bit as these storms are moving through tonight. So that's obviously some good news as well. So again, the severe thunderstorm watch though has been extended. We'll go back and show you that. If you're just now kind of tuning in for our little live hit here, the watch now does include again, Weakley, Gibson, Carroll, Henry, and Benton counties have been added to that watch. So we're going to, again, obviously continue to watch things for you. If anything becomes too bad with these storms, we'll break into live TV and cover them if they get that intense. We'll continue to do our updates online. Our next one, though, will be coming up at 8:30 unless, again, something happens with these storms. We've got to break in and talk to you about it earlier. But we'll head back to Max 2. I'll get it set up for you here, and we'll see you here at 30 minutes after the hour. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes just with a live update. Seeing a lot of lightning showing up on our camera here up at UT Martin. You see all those flashes there. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning to tell you about. Does not include us here in Jackson. We should be good till at least 10 p.m. in Jackson, as it looks like most of the intense storm is going to stay just to the north of us. The severe thunderstorm risk, though, does now include all of our counties north of Madison. That's under a level 2 for gusty winds. Can't 100% rule out a tornado or some hail, but it looks like gusty winds going to be the main threat, and the severe thunderstorm watch has been extended now to include Weakley, Gibson, Henry, Carroll, as well as Benton County. So all of our counties are under a watch until midnight tonight. Temperatures still very warm for the places. Then those thunderstorms show up and temperatures drop pretty quickly, but there is a lot of available storm energy tonight. As this line comes by, you see our severe thunderstorm warning does include extreme northern Gibson County and northern Carroll County, but almost all of Weakley and Henry County under that warning. We had a couple little cells south of Jackson. Those are done for now. We've got one little thunderstorm north of Parsons. That's not a problem. Now, these are the bigger storms. This line extending now approaching Dyersburg, Union City. We had a gust reported up to 47 miles an hour at UT Martin as that gust line was coming on by. That's why they triggered that severe thunderstorm warning, because if one place has picked up a 47 mile an hour gust, there could be some stronger gusts coming in as the main line pushes through. So here's our new severe thunderstorm warning out till 9:15. Does include Palmersville, Dresden, and Greenfield. You notice that thunderstorm line moving right into Martin right now. A couple of kinks along the line, really nothing that we're expecting to have enough to spin up. We just are missing some of the ingredients to produce tornadoes tonight. That's our first little hail pocket I've seen in a while, popping up to the west of Dyersburg. Another little heavy rain pocket there west of New Bern. But here's the leading edge of those winds coming into Yorkville right now, Rutherford, Dyer. You're not under a warning right now in Rutherford, Dyer, or Trenton, but we'll watch this southern section of this cell as it comes by. But it looks like here's our strongest winds right here, cutting just south of Martin now, heading over into the Palmersville area. This is the strongest storm in the whole line. You see these bright colors? That's a sign that there's some really strong winds, minimal rotation there. That's why they issued the warning. But again, these two storms are just north of us. We've also got some pretty strong winds in Duketon, but also starting to see those colors getting a little sharper in contrast in and around the Martin area, heading down through Sharon. Dresden, you probably got about 5 minutes till the storm shows up, about 10 in Cottage Grove and Gleason before the main line comes on by for you. And none of this looks too bad, maybe up to 40 mile an hour gusts coming in Dyersburg, New Bern, Yorkville. So Gibson County, you're probably going to, most of you are going to avoid being put under a watch tonight. A warning tonight, but we'll keep an eye on it as the main line comes on by. But you'll notice the winds pushing into northern Gibson County right now. So the winds are going to kick up regardless if you're watching us in Dyer, Trenton, possibly Humboldt here in about 20, 30 minutes. But nothing south of Greenfield is anywhere close to severe right now. So here's our main concern in our area. That's for you folks in central, eastern, Weakley, and then eventually Henry County, maybe northern Carroll County, McKenzie. You're kind of right on the southern edge of that gusty wind line as it comes on by. But there's the watch tonight, our big warning, again, that I just showed you. So if you're watching us Jackson southward, you're probably not going to have any severe weather tonight, although there still could be some of this thunder and lightning reaching as far south as Madison County, probably closer to around 9:30, 10 o'clock if it continues to hold together. Futurecast still thinks we're going to get more rounds of rain, though, overnight. So it's probably, this is our severe threat, I think, over the next few hours, probably wraps up by 11 p.m., but there's still going to be some showers on the backside, and that's why we still have that flood watch out for many of our counties over the next few days, because we're probably going to be hit with some pretty gusty or pretty heavy rain totals by the time Saturday rolls around. Some places may get hit 3 or even 4 times. So back to the radar here. We are watching that storm line as it comes on through. Again, tons of lightning earlier and still a lot now, but the lightning tick has come down a little bit. Again, we haven't forgot about that cell there over into Parsons, Decaturville, right in between I-40 and 412. Looks like near 641. Pretty intense rain there. Maybe some real small hail, but again, I don't expect that to turn severe, but this is the main line we're watching. You'll notice those winds that are extending here. This is the main area that's going this way. So if you're in these locations, you're probably going to get some decent thunderstorms tonight as that line comes by. Again, a couple of little kinks showing up in it. Our severe thunderstorm warning is out till 9:15. Again, that does include Dresden, Gleason, Paris. You're also under that warning. Now, along the line, again, some pretty intense winds, not seeing, again, any rotation in there. There's our little hail core which showed up the last couple of scans, so you might be getting a little bit of hail. We'll see if that comes in to Dyersburg. It's right near Lenox, Big Boy Junction, right along 155. So if you're watching us in that area, let us know in the chat if you picked up any hail through Manglewood, Big Boy Junction, Lenox. Go back a couple. So there's our little hail core. It's going to run right through 155, possibly coming in to Dyersburg there. So up north, again, that's our line now moving through Martin. Our strongest cell is that one with the bright colors. You see there near Fair Dealing, just north of West Tennessee. I don't see anything looking too bad along our leading edge line for winds. Probably going to gust less than 60, but somebody might get hit with an isolated stray gust or two. Very minimal on the amount of rotation with these storms. Dyersburg looking pretty good. And I like the southern edge there from Gibson County down into, it looks like Crockett, Haywood. I think your severe weather threat looks pretty low with this line as it's going to come on through. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. We'll have another update here coming up at 9 o'clock. But again, if you're in the path of this storm, just head inside. A lot of thunder, a lot of lightning, and some gusty winds. We'll see you back here at 9. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes here. We're right at 9 o'clock, starting to see some lightning if you look off in the distance up to the north and west of Jackson as those storms beginning to move through Gibson County. Currently 78 degrees tonight. We're currently dry in Madison County, but that may not be lasting for the next hour. Still have a level 2 if you're in the yellow, more likely to get severe weather. I think those storms will weaken as they move to the south some, but still could have some gusty winds in especially northeastern Madison County. Maybe areas just north of Lexington could get in on the act. We do have that severe thunderstorm watch out till midnight. Does include, it looks like, 8 of our northern counties. The places that got those showers and storms, look, you dropped all the way into the 70s. The places that haven't been hit tonight, Huntington Parish, you still feel into the mid 90s. One tornado warning, but it's very broad. But we do have gusty wind line extending all the way down now, and looks like almost all of Gibson County is going to get hit with this storm. I thought Humboldt might be on the southern edge, but the way it's still tracking, it's almost like these storms now that were moving more east earlier are starting to surge to the south. Call that a cold pool as they're extending down into that warm, untapped air. So it looks like we are getting some thunderstorm activity into Alamo. Humboldt, you got some lightning on the way here in the next 15 minutes. That one little cell we were watching near Parsons has really fizzled on out. But you notice Jackson, we're probably going to get in on the thunderstorm act. And it looks like the strongest area of the southern line, maybe a little bit of hail there north of Brazil. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning, which still remains in effect, although I don't see any 60-mile-an-hour winds here, but still a gusty wind line heading for McKenzie, Henry, and Paris here in the next 10 minutes or so. A few minor kinks along this line, not enough of concern to produce a tornado. And then that heavy rain extending down into Gibson County, approaching Humboldt and Gibson. Looks like right along the highway right now, 79 about to be impacted in the next 5-10 minutes. And then maybe a little bit of small hail there northwest of Brazil, southeast of Eden. It doesn't look like it's going to do much. All right, now the rain extending now down into Alamo, Maury City. You're about to get in on the act, and then it really falls apart over here. All this is going to be weak tonight into Ashport and Ripley, and you can see that by the wind, just a very dull color of red. Now, once we get over here, some minor rotation, definitely not enough to be concerned about, but probably some gustier winds, at least 40 miles an hour coming into Trenton, Brazil, and then approaching Humboldt, Gibson. You could have some 30-mile-an-hour winds that'll be coming in out of the northwest. I did kind of want to step off here, see if we could take a look at this radar into the same area there into Gibson County. So Milan, we'll see if we can pull that up. So that looks like some decent winds that are coming in to Milan right now. So Milan and Atwood, those are probably 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Potential severe thunderstorm warning going to be issued for you with this. So we'll keep an eye on this down through Humboldt. So Humboldt, Gibson, Milan, probably just stay away from windows here as this gust front comes on by. Again, we're a long ways away from the radar here, so any of this could be well up into the storm. It may not be reaching the ground, as we're not getting a real close look at the bottom of the storm, but definitely some gusty winds there into Milan and Humboldt. So we'll check back on this here in just a minute. Actually, I'll back off here. We'll pull it off a couple of scans, and then we'll take a look at where it looked just about 5 minutes ago. So it was very dull as it went through Trenton, but started to get a little bit of uptick. And then when we're looking at it from the Memphis radar, it doesn't look like much at all. So we're well over here, though. So just one radar picking up some winds there, it looks like, in the higher level of the storm. So may not get a severe thunderstorm warning from that, but some of these winds may shoot to the ground in and around Milan, so just a heads up on that. All right, up north, we've got still a tornado warned storm, but you notice the reds and the greens, not real conclusive. I wouldn't keep that warning out for that one, but some strong winds as well down here near New Concord, and then those bright winds showing up. Again, heading right into Milan. So you probably got some strong winds coming into Milan. Heads up, those, if they hold together, maybe Clarksburg, Cedar Grove, about 20, 30 minutes out from that. And then Humboldt, the winds are beginning to show up right now into your area. So Humboldt, Medina, Milan, southeastern Gibson County, you're about to get the winds to kick up a little bit with that storm. So kind of zoom things out here a little bit. You do see that the main action is going to stay just north of Jackson. We're right on the southern edge in Jackson with this line tonight. But if you're in this area, you're probably going to still deal with some thunderstorms tonight. Areas northeast of Jackson, northeastern Madison County, probably going to see some of this storm activity come on by. But if you're south west of Jackson. I don't think you got much of a severe threat to worry about tonight. And then go back up here on that radar. We'll look at that wind signature we were watching into Gibson County, so make sure that it's not doing anything ominous. We'll take a quick look at that. Give me a second while the radar is loading. All right, so again, looking at it at the Memphis radar, definitely they're not concerned about it. So, but a little bit of brighter colors there when we're using the other radar. That's taking a look at it. Let's see, maybe we'll pull up our Camden radar. Yeah, there's the Camden radar looking at it, and it's even picking up a little bit of minor rotation in it. But again, it's a long ways away from the Camden radar too. So again, Milan, probably the strongest winds, at least in our viewing area, is probably coming in somewhere. Closer look where that is right now, just south of Tucker's Corner, Morris Chapel, Cades area. So probably right along 45, Cades, Hughes Loop. Again, you may want to head inside. There could be a little bit of our head away from windows. Again, I don't see enough to issue a tornado warning on it, but there's definitely something trying to spin up there. Again, I like the latest radar scan. I didn't like this one as much, but we just got a brand new scan. Doesn't look as bad. Again, anytime you see those little areas there, you see where the reds and the greens just kind of come together out of nowhere inside a storm. Tracks down to the southeast. So that's a look at it from the Camden radar. Definitely brought it out, but those look like some strong winds. Morris Chapel, New Enterprise, Gibson, Cades. That, I believe, is the Fort Campbell, Kentucky radar that we were looking at there. So there, let's see. I think that's Fort Campbell. No, that's Paducah's radar. So that's Paducah's radar taking a look at it. Again, Nashville or the Memphis, not as impressive. And then the Camden looks like still maybe a little bit of something trying to get going there. So again, we'll watch that. Again, if you're in that area, again, just probably head away from windows. I'm not saying sprint to your basement or anything like that or run out to your storm shelter, but those look like some decent winds that are going to be coming on down. Check here with the National Weather Service, see if they're noticing anything on that. They say no current plans to reissue the severe warning. That's the one up north for weekly Henry County, which expires in 6 minutes. All right. The storms are moving a bit quicker than earlier, as that they call it a nocturnal low-level jet. Just basically at night, once the sun sets, you get that cold pool that develops, and sometimes the storms go racing down to the south when they come into our area. That happens sometimes. So, all right, so we got the severe thunderstorm warning till 9:15. So we're gonna keep an eye on this. I'm gonna stick with this for a couple more minutes. We'll just keep an eye on that Fort Campbell or the Paducah radar. A couple more scans as it comes on by there in Humboldt and Milan. I'm gonna reset the graphics on the other weather computer for you guys, just to make sure that they're looking at what they should be. Again, once this severe thunderstorm warning expires tonight, that's over into Henry County. As of now, the National Weather Service says they don't have any plans to reissue a warning. So that's good. Hopefully they continue to say that that's what we're going to be dealing with, and they don't issue any more warnings tonight. So again, I like that last radar scan, kind of cleared things out there a little bit. All right, no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. The storm line is approaching Humboldt, Gibson, Milan, Medina, probably some gusty winds. This kind of tells you a better look at it. We'll go back here a couple scans. You see where Jackson is, and you see the main line. So it's probably going to reach us here in Jackson. It looks like probably close to around 9:45, 10 o'clock. So right as we kick off the 10 o'clock news, that storm line is going to be coming in, it looks like, to Jackson as it moves right into Humboldt right now. Let me check in. My wife usually updates me if there's any big winds or anything that comes on by on Facebook, and she's right in between Humboldt and Medina. So we'll see if she has an update on the winds. She said the winds picked up 13 minutes ago. I'll ask her how high the gusts were. And thanks for everyone who's in the chat, posting your comments about what you're seeing at your place. Definitely helps us tell everyone what's going on. You know, we can only see so much when you're looking at the radar. It doesn't tell you everything. you know. So she says it's pretty gusty at the house right now, and our place is kind of right there between Humboldt and Medina. So the rain probably hasn't even started there yet, but winds are kicking up. So maybe a couple little hail cores in there for where some of those purples are. If anyone's seeing any hail or hearing any hail, it looks like right in the Fruitland area. Looks like you may have some hail on the way. So pretty intense little line going through Crockett, Gibson right now, approaching Carroll County. So we'll stick with you here online for a little bit longer, and just sit with this storm for a minute as it moves by, since it looks like we've got a lot of people watching here. So wife says she can't tell the wind speeds. It said she could hear it real good whipping around out at the house. So again, that's southern Gibson County, pretty intense winds coming on through. So just heads up for everybody. That is there. So, all right, I'm going to check on our live feed here on Facebook, just see what people are saying. So looks like latest comments coming in. Lots of thunder and lightning in Martin, power surged. So, yet not a lot going on in our Facebook chat. That's good. Usually people get in on it and have a lot to say when something bad happening. When things are quiet, we like that. That means no one's saying got any terrible winds or big trees are down or anything like that. So continue to keep an eye on that wind line. So there's the winds you see up into Henry County, approaching Springville right now. Paris Landing State Park, the winds are about to kick up for you folks in Kentucky Lake, down through Elkhorn, Van Dyke, Mansfield, Mixie, Macedonia, Cherrywood, New Zion, McLemoresville. It's on the way for you. Atwood, any minute. Down through Milan, Gibson, Medina, three-way Humboldt, getting those winds. So getting a couple different radar scans. Again, we're so far away. Let's go ahead and try our Camden radar again. Showing some pretty intense winds there coming into McKenzie. So heads up there. Those may be the strongest winds with the whole line right now. Coming into Macedonia, Van Dyke, Mansfield, Long Rock, McKenzie, Cherrywood. So again, the radar doesn't go all the way out to Madison County. So again, it doesn't look too bad when you're getting down near Jackson. We got that one little hail cell. So, all right, we're going to take about a 15-minute break. I got to get the graphics set up for the 10 o'clock news tonight, and we will be back around 9:30 with another live update, folks. Chief Meteorologist Joel Barnes here. It's 9:30. The wind's beginning to kick up here in Jackson, and watching these trees blow around over the last 5 minutes or so as the leading edge of that outflow boundary from those thunderstorms pushes on through. I think we'll avoid the worst of it here in Jackson, but there's still going to be some thunder and lightning and some periods of heavy rain coming by. Main concern for severe weather was up here to the north. That's where we are under the level 2. That's where the severe thunderstorm watch is still out till midnight tonight. Probably don't see any more severe thunderstorm warnings, though, issued. I'll explain why here in just a minute, but temperatures dropping all the way down to 70 from some of these thunderstorms that have come by. We're starting to see the lightning uptick kind of go down a little bit. We were up to 2,000 strikes at one time. It looks like we're closer down to around 700 now. So storms are weakening as the sun has set, and the storms are chasing down into a cold pool. They're moving southward into a less favorable environment right here along the interstate. Still some pretty intense activity, though, southeast of Alamo over there. Looks like we may even had a small little hail core into Crockett County. So we're extending this all the way out from the Kentucky Lake area down here into northern Madison County. Showers and thunderstorms starting here in about 10-15 minutes in Jackson. Could continue for another 30. All that severe wind activity up to the north of us is gone. Just a few lightning strikes in and around Huntington, but still pretty intense little storm tonight between Three-Way and Gadsden over here at Humboldt. That's where we're seeing the strongest. Still some pretty heavy rain coming down right now in Medina. That might be some hail between Gadsden and Bells right along 79. That's at least our heaviest rain. Also very heavy right now in Alamo. And then this is all pretty weak when you get over here near the Mississippi River as well. Not seeing any sort of wind signatures, nothing over 30 mile an hour there. And then even here, the winds look like they're kind of dying down. The storm line is really weakening tonight, but still some at least 40 mile an hour winds can't be ruled out, but no 60 mile an hour gusts expected. Maybe it's still a little windy, it looks like, over through the Kentucky Lake area. Some decent looking signatures there. But when I put, all right, that's that outflow boundary. You see that red right there. Watch it. That's what came through Jackson about 5 minutes ago when those winds were really kicking up. That's winds extending out from the thunderstorm. You say, well, doesn't the radar need like liquid or rain or something to pick up? Yes. So this is probably bugs and debris that you're seeing shooting out in front of the storm. Dust, debris, and bugs being blown down to the south. So the rain kind of knocking on the door here in Madison County. It'll be coming by over the next 30 minutes coming into Jackson. Probably going to get a period of heavy rain, but I don't see anything that looks really severe in this line. So some pretty good news there. But rain is going to continue at times tonight, tracking up to the north of us, and that's why we could have that flood issue here coming up over the next couple of days. So watching things right now on our downtown camera in Jackson. No rain has showed up yet. It's still sitting to the north. We'll take one more radar tour here before we wrap things up. We're obviously going to have more on the news tonight at 10. Let me check with the National Weather Service, make sure that I'm not missing anything that they are seeing. According to them, trained weather spotters reported rainfall rates of 3 inches an hour up into Henry County. Very heavy rain there. Looks like the severe weather is trending on a downward trend, according to the National Weather Service as well. What we just talked about here about 5 minutes ago, that just came out from them in the last minute or two. So, all right, so downward trend in severe weather, but you notice the general direction. These storms are still going into this. So earlier they were going more in this direction, remember? And now they're going more here as they're racing down into the cold pool. So you are going to get some rain in Parsons, Lexington, Scotts Hill, Henderson, and Jackson, but I don't see any of it going to be 60 mile an hour winds or anything too bad as far as a severe weather threat. Things really beginning to weaken some. Looks like we got maybe some heavy rain or some really small hail still with that core. Gonna go back a couple of scans. It started just west of Trenton, reformed north of Alamo, and now it's right there between Bells and Humboldt, right along 79 near Fruitvale. So that's our heaviest rain, but definitely some rain on the way. If you're watching us in Jackson, just know it's going to get pretty wet. We will leave the radar up here for a little bit longer. Guys in the back, we'll just leave up max 2 as the rain comes into Jackson. But I will see everyone at 10 o'clock on the news, as it looks like, although we are going to get some storms here in the Hub City, definitely not going to be severe.